Welcome to this week's Wellspring podcast. We are so glad that you guys are joining us again. And we are going to talk today about money again.
Slay the monster.
Yes.
Would you consider money a monster?
It depends on how it rules your life.
Yeah.
If you're using it to, benefit the people around you and, help people, then no.
I think most people at some point in our lives have had.
At some point you have to slay the monster.
Yeah. At some point you got to realize.
Yeah.
And here's what I mean by monster. The reason why we called it this is because, it's like the monster in your room or the monster when you're a kid, the monster in your closet. Yeah. At some point you have to defeat the monster. Yeah. In your head.
Yeah.
There's not a monster in my bed. There's not a monster
in
the closet.
I think that it doesn't matter how you grew up viewing money, whether you grew up in a household where there was always an abundance, or you grew up where you lived paycheck to paycheck, or you grew up where there was never enough. Yeah. You didn't have anything.
I mean, we grew up different. Yeah. I mean, your family was a little wealthier than mine. Yeah. Your dad did this entrepreneurial thing. He kind of had all these different things. And so when life was good. Yeah. And when life wasn't good, you guys did a lot of vacations together. You would travel. And I don't think your family was better than mine. We didn't do a lot of that. We lived a little bit more paycheck to paycheck. My dad worked his tail off all the time. My mom was a hairdresser. So when it was good, it was good. And my brother and I joke all the time that his birthday's in August. And so his birthday was in the slow season. So that was the big joke.
The snowbirds were not down here.
It's the slow season. It's August. So he got a cupcake and I got a cake because my birthday was in April. And
that is funny. I do remember when you and I first got married. I mean, we were young and I remember there was a moment we all could say this probably that those of us that are in our 30s and our 40s and maybe even younger, nobody teaches you really how to manage money. Like there's no
Did anybody teach you?
Yeah, no, there's not. My parents taught me how to what do they call it? Your checkbook. Balance your checkbook, and write a check and everything. But there was never this hey, you need to sit down and you need to talk about what you're going to spend on this and what you're going to spend on that and not overextending yourself. But
I'm sure nobody taught them.
No. And so I think that when we got married, we were in college, you were playing basketball. We were both working part-time jobs. And I think there was a season where money did rule my thoughts 24/7.
It was a monster.
I was always scared. If we didn't have so much in our checking account,
roles reversed.
It made me very nervous. And I think I did have to. I think I did finally in college, overcome that, which was so funny because then we graduated college and had less money than what we had in college because we bought a house and we had a kid and
you were married to a stud in college.
And I wasn't working.
Hold on, you missed an opportunity.
Yes, I know. And we were the couple that sat at the kitchen table and Dave Ramsey'd our paycheck every single
envelope
week.
System.
Yeah. And
there were days that we wanted to go. We're dating ourselves. I know some people are older or younger. But we grew up, we were in a Bible Belt of Georgia, married, and it was Wednesday night church. And, we always say we're recovering Baptists. So it was a Baptist church on Wednesday night, and you had Bible study, and the Chick-fil-A was down the road. Remember those days? And if you brought your bulletin, nobody knows
on Monday nights.
Yeah, it was Monday nights. You're right, it was Monday nights. It wasn't Wednesdays.
Yeah.
But if you brought your bulletin on Monday night, and nobody knows about bulletins now. They don't even do bulletins anymore. But you brought your bulletin on Monday night. You got it.
You got a free chicken sandwich if you bought
2 sides.
If you bought a fry and a drink.
Yeah, or 2 sides. You could do whatever. But and I remember those days. It was that was tough.
Yeah.
Even to buy the 2 sides.
We went to Chick-fil-A every Monday night.
There was a Crystal right next to our church, and I would sneak the change in my little cigarette so I could go get a Crystal burger without you coming out of budget. It was tight. Yeah. It was tight. And there's probably a lot of people listening today and watching that it is a monster that you need to slay it.
But you can live that, and I wouldn't say strict, but strategic budget in your life. Yes. And it not control you.
Yep.
And you're just doing it because you want to be good stewards. And it's almost like you need to master your money.
Yeah.
Whether you have a lot of it or you have enough,
Jesus
you
said
have
that.
a little bit.
Yeah, he said you can only serve one master.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you're going to be slave to the lender.
Your money needs to serve you and the goals and the purpose for your life.
Yeah.
And so
what we tried to do this past Sunday is, and I hope it was fun. I hope it connected.
Yeah.
Obviously it's the day after. I have no idea, but I try to preach in such a way where you may not remember the content. You may not remember the actual verse or the point, but you'll remember the illustration. And so I thought Jaime did absolutely incredible. I mean, he's a workout buff. And so we've tried to connect the idea of fitness and finances and the way that we approach our fitness, the way that we approach that losing weight or getting into shape or building muscle or whatever we're trying to do when it comes to fitness is very similar to our finances. And so,
well, you think about when somebody who's losing weight or, training for something like training for a marathon or training, even people that are like bodybuilders or training, they know exactly what's going into their body, before, like all day long, how much they're consuming. And I think so many times with our money, like if somebody was to, and again, we all have, a credit card or a bank card or something where like you can literally go on the website and they'll be like, would you like us to show you where your money is going?
Oh yeah.
And then you pull up this little pie graph and it's like, oh,
well, yeah,
there's a lot of money that goes towards food or entertainment.
Of course.
So I think we all need to know that, like, what are you spending the majority of your money on? And so,
I thought about this. I didn't say this yesterday, but I was thinking like, you can't watch a sporting event. I don't care what it is. I mean, even tonight, if you sit down and watch basketball or baseball or football, I know football's not football season, but there will undoubtedly at some point during that game, there will be a credit card commercial.
Yeah.
And what I find interesting about credit card commercials is they will always try to get you with this.
Yeah.
If you'll sign up now, we'll give you 1% to 4% cash back.
Yeah.
And you do it because you're like, ooh, I'm going to get cash back or I'm going to get this reward. But if you don't pay it off, you're paying 28% interest.
Yeah.
And so who's paying for the cash back?
You are.
You are. The credit card holders.
Yeah, they're not stupid.
They're
like
smart. They know what they're doing.
They're not giving us free money most of the time. And so, and again, we're not people that like to tell you, like, everybody has an opinion of, should you have a credit card? Should you not have a credit card? Should you pay everything with cash? Should you? Yeah. And I think you need to know yourself.
Yeah. Well, I said it yesterday. And when we talked about the idea of credit card curls, and I thought Jaime did great with that, is this idea of if you can, and I think this is a key word, April, if you can discipline.
Yeah.
So discipline's key in fitness, discipline's key in finances. If you can discipline yourself and say, we are going to be the family. I think about our brother-in-law.
Yeah.
Our brother-in-law's that way. I mean, he's disciplined. He's just determined. Greg's his name. Yeah. And he's just so good at that. So I think his family, they'll put some of their bills on a credit card and they pay it off every single month. Why? Because there's a benefit to the points.
Yeah.
But the points are only a benefit
if you
pay off the credit card. So if you're paying 28% to 35% interest and you're getting $100 in points, like it's evening. It's not, you're not benefiting.
Everything in life comes down to discipline,
right?
And so I think so many times, we would love to be disciplined. We would love to say we're disciplined and we have a goal, and then we get ourselves in too deep. So like when you correlate it with fitness and bring Jaime back into it. Jaime fasts. He's a faster. So until noon.
Yep.
Well, he also doesn't eat sugar.
Right.
Unless it's the weekend.
Now I've seen that boy eat sugar.
Yeah, he will. But his plan is he doesn't eat sugar till the weekend. But he's like, on the weekend I eat whatever I want to eat.
Yeah.
So he sees the end goal. Like, I have to work hard. So like, same thing with credit card. All right, I'm going to pay it on this because in the end, my family's going to have points to buy our flights to go on summer vacation. But too many times we get stuck in the like, okay, let's not pay the whole thing off. Or in food, I'm just going to have a little bit of sugar today, or I'm going to eat a little bit before my fasting window closes. And then you just have this snowball effect within, food and fitness, probably within 3 or 4 days, you feel awful about yourself.
Right.
And it comes to your finances. Within a couple of months, you're like, what did I get myself into?
Yeah.
And so everything comes down to, I need to know myself.
Right.
I need to know what tempts me, what doesn't tempt me. Because if sugar didn't tempt Jaime, he wouldn't have to discipline himself to not eat sugar all week until the weekend. He'd be like,
sin's fun for a season.
But he would be like, I don't even crave sugar. Like but he knows that if he takes one bite during the week, there's going to be a downward spiral.
If you weren't here yesterday, or if maybe you were out of town, you didn't get it. I said this analogy. I said, how many of you, and I said, raise your hand if you would spend $32 on a number one Chick-fil-A meal. I said, raise your hand right now, raise your hand. And a few people raised their hand, but majority of people are like, no way, it's not worth $32 bucks. But the reality is, if you're swiping your credit card at Chick-fil-A, you're paying $32 because you're not paying it off at the end of the month, and you're continuing to pay on it. But credit cards is just one. I think another one is just budget. Yeah, we talked this idea about budget burpees, and again, I think budgeting is great. I mean, we budget, but we're not. I think in our personal finances, we're not slave to the budget. No. And I think,
but we do know. Like, I keep a spreadsheet that tells me how much my electric bill is, how much my water bill is, how much my phone bill is, how much so I know I can pull up and say, all right, we make this every 2 weeks. This is what our expenses are these 2 weeks. This is what we have left over.
But what a budget does is a budget tells your money where to go. See, it's interesting when you read that verse, we say it all the time, that the love of money is the root of all evil. And then there's this verse, I think it's in Luke, where it talks about your treasure. Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. And I think we forget, and I'm going to probably preach on this next week, but we forget that if you really think about the verse, where your treasure is, guess what happens? Your heart follows. Yeah. I don't know if you've thought about that. It's not where my heart is, my treasure follows. Yeah. It's my budget. That's why I love budget burpees, because your budget says this. Budget says.
Now, did you do burpees?
I didn't do
with
burpees.
Him? Okay.
I didn't do burpees. I let him do burpees. So he did it smiling and laughing and crying and sad. No, it was fun. It was awesome. I love just harassing him. But what I love about a budget is a budget tells your money where to go. Yeah. But also a budget tells your heart where to go. So now if I've aligned my heart in such a way, and so what we do, and again, I think most families that are trying to do it right, is so we automatically take out, like at the beginning of the month, our tithe comes out.
Well, yes.
Our savings comes out.
But like if you look at our spreadsheet, tithe is the very first on the spreadsheet of what we give every 2 weeks. And that's because we get paid every 2 weeks. Right. You know, everybody gets paid at different times of the month. And so like, there's not, and you just said this, like, again, don't become like so religious. Right. Like, just know it's almost like the first thing and again, we don't sit down anymore. I mean, we've been married for, close to 25 years. Yeah. We don't sit down anymore, but I'm
going to tell you why. I think this is important. So now at 44 and 43, we don't sit down anymore to do that, because I said this yesterday. It's simply because we now have a new zero. Yeah. Our zero's different. Yeah. Our zero. So now we have 1 month of bills already in savings. Yeah. So now, and I think we have a little bit more than that now, but maybe quite a bit more than that. So now it's easy. We don't have to sit down, because God forbid something happen. Well, and I said this yesterday, become your own visa. Yeah. So we've talked about maybe getting a hot tub in our backyard. Yeah. We've talked about, and I know we've not on the agreement on this, but we've talked about a pool. and I think the reason why I've not like pushed you really hard to get a pool in our backyard is because I don't want to put it on a visa. Yeah. I really want us to, anytime we want to purchase something big, that we borrow from ourselves. And we're trying to teach our kids. Liam likes to, I told the church yesterday, Liam likes to buy these cards, and he's like, Dad, can I have the money ahead of time and then I'll pay you back? No, because we're not your Visa card. Yeah. We're not your credit card. You earn the money and then you pay it. Yeah. And I think money is such an anomaly. The better you get with it, the less freaked out when it comes up. And
I was talking to a financial advisor earlier last week, and just, I think there's so many different types of financial advisors, but I think throughout her career for the last 15 years, she has seen people be fooled into into purchasing homes they can't afford, into cars they can't afford. And I think because we think, oh, well, they wouldn't give us the money if they didn't. They don't really care.
They don't know
most of the time. And they can, if they want to sell you a house, they can manipulate anything to get you in that mortgage payment.
What happened in 08?
So
that's what the crash of 08 was.
So she's just become passionate about helping people understand their money. Yeah. And so you can't be flippant about it. Yeah. You can't say, I'm just going to go buy this house and hope it works out. I'm going to buy this car and hope it works out. You need to know, just like, again, you need, when you're getting in shape, what do you need to put in your body in order for you to become the fitness level you want to become?
So I'm just going to throw this out there.
Some people need more protein, some people need more carbs.
I'm going to throw it out there on this podcast because it's an anomaly for us and we can't figure it out. And you're going to laugh that I'm bringing this up.
Okay.
So now I'm running. Yes. And now after I do a long run, my teeth hurt. I can't figure out why my teeth hurt. And you're like, it's electrolytes. You need electrolytes. You need this. So if you're listening to the podcast, I've asked the dentist. They don't know. I have no idea why my teeth hurt after I run. But to your point,
maybe they're hitting against each other.
I have no idea. I wear a mouth guard. I grind my teeth with my mouth guard. I don't know what's new. I'm weird. I'm crazy.
We do know you're weird. We do know you're weird. That is true. But to your point,
yes. You've got to prepare ahead of time if you're going to go into this. And I just want to remind everybody again, I said it yesterday, and I had to move quickly past this to get into the exercises. But I would just encourage everybody to just face reality. Yeah. That's why there's mirrors in a gym. That's why there's a scale all throughout the gym. Because your trainer's going to look at you and just go,
let's see who you really are. Yeah. You don't have a six pack, even though you think you have a six pack.
I love it. I love it. It was a friend of mine. I was at the doctor. He invited me to go to the doctor with himself at the doctor with this friend of mine. And he told the doctor how much he weighed. And he kind of said it with a precarious face. And the doctor looked at him, oh, really? And she thought he was bigger than that because maybe it's this number. And he says this number. Well, the scale actually said something bigger. And so my point of the whole thing is my friend I was in this doctor's office with, I remember thinking none of us really know the reality.
No, we live in a false reality all the time.
Scale tells the reality and you don't know where your money's going. And so I would just encourage everybody. And then we're starting this Finance 101. And what are the details? Do you know the details?
So Finance 101, just get on wellspringfl.com/events and you can find out more information about it. Sign up. It'll be on Tuesday nights. And it's just 4 weeks. We're going to do like a crash course in you understanding your finances. We also launched our 90-day tithe challenge yesterday. And this is our third year to do this. And guys, it is always the stories that come out of the 90-day tithe challenge of what God does in people's finances, even in their marriages, in their own personal, just in their life.
I love one story, one story that came out of, I think the first year, 2 years ago. We did this lunch afterwards or breakfast and we celebrated. And this one lady, she had never tithed before, but she had lost a ring. Do you remember this story?
No, I think it was a bracelet, like a diamond bracelet. Yeah.
She had lost it and, she couldn't find it.
She'd been looking for it for a couple of years.
Yeah, she couldn't find it. So that Sunday she came to church and she signed the tithe challenge. And that Sunday she came home. She looked in a spot she had looked dozens of times, and the bracelet was there. Now who knows if the bracelet was always there?
Well, we have another story from the first year where there was a couple who signed up to do the 90-day tithe challenge. Had gone through some financial things because of losing jobs and stuff. Because this was 2023 would have been the first one. People were still kind of coming out of them maybe getting laid off from COVID and stuff. And so they needed to sell the husband's truck and they knew they needed a certain amount. But I don't think they were quite sure if they were going to get it. It hadn't been offered. And I remember we had just started Freedom.
Yeah.
And she comes up to me the very first night of Freedom or the second night. I don't know, it's first or second week of Freedom. And she's like, we sold my husband's truck yesterday after we signed up 90-day tithe challenge. We signed up, sold my husband's truck for more than what we were even expecting to sell it for. Yeah. And so it's not like God just wants to, he sometimes is just waiting for you to take this tiny step of faith. Yep. And he's like, I was just waiting for that.
And we know
to show up
we
for you.
say it all the time. If you've been in church for any length of time, this becomes a broken record. But it's still true today. It's the only place in the Bible where God says, call me to the carpet.
I want to say this. I know, you might be sitting here thinking, well, Joey and April have never been through what we've been through. They've never lost a job. And we have.
Yes, we have.
We have both lost jobs.
We've been in debt.
We've gone through, we've been in massive debt before that we've had to navigate. We've had emergencies in our life where they became huge financial burdens to us.
We've had medical bills.
Yes.
I mean, the list, we've had it all.
So I don't want you to think that like we've made a ton of mistakes. Yeah. This bought a house that we shouldn't have bought when we were right out of college and lost money selling it. Like we're not this, like God's always been like everything we've touched, God's just turned to gold. And that's just not reality. And so we've made wrong decisions that consequences have come along with it. Yeah. But we've just continued to stay faithful. Yeah. We've always said to each other, God is always going to, he's always provided. So why would he stop now? Yeah. There was moments when we've lost jobs where we've had to remind ourselves that job is not our provider. God is our provider.
We're not going to serve mammon.
He will sustain us, and he always has. And yes, we are living in a season where we're like, wow, like some of those times, we look back at some of those times we thought we'd always be in that, tough season. That financial burden would always be hanging over our head. And God has brought us to another side. Now, I'm not saying that that's going to be the rest of our life, but we have made some really, this isn't like to toot my husband's horn, but Joey has made some really wise financial decisions that I probably would have never made on my own for our family. And I just think, and some of those decisions that he's made, I didn't want to do because it meant like, hold on a second, like I like having more money that I can spend to go shopping and do what I want to do. But it's really set us up for some success. It's setting us up for our future.
It's given us, you know what it's given us? So I was going to say that from day one, it's one thing we did do well. From day one of being married, I remember our first job in ministry. Mm-hmm. Day one, we started putting money away for retirement. Day one. And we've never stopped doing that. And you know what it gives me? It gives me peace. Yeah. And then the financial word is it gives me margin. Yeah. That no matter what, I know that we're saving for our future because there's going to come a day where I cannot preach and you cannot lead, and we're going to be sitting in our couch watching Jeopardy at 5 a.m.
Hopefully because we've made really wise decisions. We're living our best life. Yeah. Yeah. We're traveling the world, seeing the world, spreading the gospel in our retirement in a different way.
Let me end. Yeah. So go to Financial 101, join the 90-day tithe challenge. You can
follow us on social media. We're going to have a lot of stuff for the next.
But let me say this to everybody, and then I'm going to pray. But let me say this to everybody. Let today be your worst day. Yeah. Let today be your worst day. Today's the worst day. Tomorrow we're starting new. We're going to face reality. We're going to do it. We're going to face reality. We're going to do some saving stretches. We're going to do some burpees, some budget burpees. We're going to do it. Yeah. We're going to do it. We're going to do some credit card curls. We're going to cut up the credit cards. We're going to save $1,000. We're going to get a month. We're going to do it. And then this is the part. 1 Timothy says this. And this is the thing that we had 3 people walk out of church Sunday. I don't know why they walked out. It could have been nothing bad. But anytime you're preaching on money and somebody walks out, you immediately think it's because of money. And I hope nobody walks out in the future. Nobody walks out. But I realize this. I realize that it just happens. But 1 Timothy says this, that God gives to his sons and daughters and this is what we miss, for the enjoyment of our lives. For the enjoyment. God wants you to enjoy his money. It's just not the first thing. Yeah. But God does want you to enjoy it.
And God talks more about money than
faith or prayer combined.
Obviously, he knew it was going to be a struggle for us.
So let me pray for everybody. Can I do that? Yeah. Father, I realize that slaying the monster is more difficult to do than it is to say. And so, God, I pray for every single listener, every single person viewing this podcast today are in different situations. So I pray right now that they would face reality. May today be their worst day as they start fresh and anew tomorrow, and to begin to do the hard work, the deep work, the soul-searching work. And I pray that every single person, especially if they come to Wellspring, that every single person would know that we want to join with them, that they would join the 90-day tithe challenge, that they would make a commitment to be at Finance 101. And I say this to people all the time, I'm not going to put in more work than you're putting in. And so I ask that every single person would put in the work. The church is putting in work to help you get to where you need to be. So I ask that you guide and direct, give peace and no guilt for every single person in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.